Hello again, I'm Quinn, and all this, it's not bonsai. It is, hopefully, going to be a pretty neat, what I'll be calling my post-apocalyptic pottery planting. So I found a really neat pot at the thrift store this week. At first I wasn't very excited about it, and then I got to looking at it and I kind of got some different ideas for about how to use it. And I'll give you a good look at that here now. I'm not sure really what it was so much intended for. Because at first, you may be able to see, there's no drain hole. And then I got to thinking, well, I don't necessarily have to use it upright. I don't even necessarily think it looks best that way. Because you can see it's got kind of a real different design going on here. It almost looks like it's blown up, like I had said before. So what I want to do is kind of display it as such, kind of laying down so you can see it, and then have it look like, because to me it kind of looks like the top half of your kind of classic cartoony missile, or bomb if you will. So I want it to somewhat have the appearance of that, in perhaps an otherworldly type jungle setting, where nature has taken over. And while I'm up here, I've had a good week at the thrift store this week. I found this little guy, just a simple little pot, for $1.50. I found this one, which, having gotten both of these, and I may have known this before, but I think I really like earth tone type pots. The real bright glaze ones, they just don't do it for me for most things. And this feels very light yet sturdy. It says Bonsai, etc. And perhaps a date or a maker's mark of some sort that I can't discern. And then this one. This is quite the snag. This to me seems like a legitimate bonsai pot. I like its oval shape. I'm a big fan of any kind of ovals or circular shaped pots. I do believe it is, well, let's just go with, it has a little maker's mark stamp of some sort. It's got good heft to it. It seems like a really good pot. I think let's see what I pay. $4. So really excited about that. But what we have here is a number of little plants that I've kind of gathered over the years. Or, yeah, probably years. And a lot of them were intended for little terrariums. I've done a few small terrariums, but these were all kind of large for that. So I've kind of just been barely keeping them alive. So I'm going to consolidate them all into this planting, which will hopefully help me to remember to take care of them. Like you can see, this poor little fern, he's dried out numerous times, and I keep kind of having to revive him. This one yesterday, or 2 or 3 days ago, was just hanging all the way down out of the pot. It was completely dry and dead looking. And I watered him and he sprung right back up. So what we're going to do for this video today is I'm going to set this up hopefully one time. And I won't make you watch a lot of that process because it won't really be work. I'll just be kind of planting it. So I'll kind of show you the first setup. We'll take a look at it, see what we think. Hopefully we like it. And then we'll go from there. But I'm thinking I may have to build it once or twice to get kind of the idea I'm going for. Let me do a little cleanup here, and we'll get to work on our little post-apocalyptic pottery planting. Okay. So I got it set up, and I was actually pretty pleased with how it looked. So, and I want to show you that process because it was kind of fun to do. And I got some moss here I had forgotten about, so we're gonna try to incorporate that kind of around the edges. It does have a good bit of soil in it, so that should provide them some nutrients because my little bonsai soil here isn't going to really have any. And I would typically add it, but these being the kind of plants they are, I feel like they're going to want a little more in the way of nutrients than I'm typically accustomed to doing, especially in the winter. So let's see. We'll start here with our post-apocalyptic pot. I had him kind of like that, so you can see in from the front, and then we have the hole here. And what I want to do first is I have this ivy looking fella. I think it was labeled a creeping fig, but I'm not quite sure. But they're super easy to grow, it seems like, in really low light. Just keep them relatively moist. And we're going to get him in there behind kind of the moss and tucked into the back. And I want to get a little soil in there. Alright, let's get a little soil in there. Don't want too much because I'm going to plant some moss over top of it, and that should help kind of cover it up. See, I believe I had this piece here allotted for that. The jacket kept falling down in my way here, so let's see. Oh yeah, that looks good. So while we're in there, I want to fill it in with a little moss pieces. Kind of all the little nooks and crannies. And those, assuming I take good care of them, should fill in rather nice. Fill in all these spaces, and a lot of this moss I collected, like I said, does have soil underneath it. I tried to maintain that, as I did on a lot of these little plants you'll see. I just kind of trimmed the soil down to a desirable height. I wanted to leave a lot of this nice, black soil that's probably pretty nutritious. It's what it grew in. I think it'll be happy in it for quite some time. None of these were like root bound or anything of that nature. So I had him sitting next to this palm. And I want to create, excuse me, just a little bit of space here. Just almost like a pathway for the eye to kind of work through. Just kind of give it some depth, because when that eye starts to look kind of through there, hopefully, kind of engage the imagination a little. And that moss was perfectly placed there. I'm going to put a little more around the edges. I have a patch here to fill in this area. We'll get some of this good. Found this moss under my trampoline. It gets used frequently under my outdoor bonsai because it just, does so well in a little bit of a shady condition, which being under my trees creates. Okay, I think we have that. And then this little fella kind of poking out around here. And then this reddish looking one that I want to kind of curl around the back side and hopefully eventually grow kind of up and over. May need to use a little anchor rock for that. We'll see. Let's get a little of this soil in behind there. Maybe pack it in a little, help it stay upright. So it looks like it did. Put a little more of this moss back there. Give that a nice moist growing area. Probably put just a scorch up front here. And then I had this, I'd grown this kind of with toothpicks in the pot to kind of give it this curl, because I had originally planned to do something similar to this with it, so now it kind of creates this neat little archway, which I think kind of brings you in there. And let's see, a little bit of moss over in this corner, maybe some more dirt. Just make sure these ferns are nice and moist. This moss will make a nice covering for these moisture-loving plants. And like I said, I want a nice little pathway through here, so it's put my end up there, see what she thinks. And let me put it on the little stand here. Alright, here we are with my post-apocalyptic pottery planting. And I think we've achieved the look I was going for. We can still kind of see all the damage to our little bombshell, if you will. And I think we have acquired somewhat of a otherworldly jungle type look. I might want to put some moss on this backside. What do we think? I don't like that you can see the bottom of the pot. Let's do that. Moss collection. Might need to pack some dirt right here to give me a bit of foundation to work with. This moss, should look just fine in a little while. Not to mention this fella should grow up and cover that quite a bit. Let's see. And this was a real fine moss that I kind of scraped off some steps out in the front of my house, so I feel like it should be able to do fine on a kind of a limited organic material growing surface, I guess we could call that. Okay. Alright. Now, let me see how that looks. We can still see a little bit of the rim, can't we? It's ever so convenient that this mud I got here is probably got a good amount of like clayish in it. Seems to just adhere right to that. Okay. Aha. I think once that all fills in, that'll look much better than having the bottom of the pot all exposed. That red plant's gonna look nice too. There we go. Back to our front. I like our nice little curl here. And that it's kind of sitting at the front of the pot does kind of help give it some depth. I imagine this fern will fill in this area, kind of create a cavity for the eye to go into. So I think this turned out pretty good. And like I said, we've consolidated a lot of my forgotten plants into one nice planting, so hopefully I'll be able to look after them a little more adequately from now on. Well, thanks again for joining me here on NotBonsai.